Hello, welcome to the lecture on learning through guided participation. Start off by reviewing Vygotsky's theory of sociocultural development. So please think back about Vygotsky's theory. What does he tell us about how we learn? Try to remember. So Vygotsky, his concept of interaction about the zone of proximal development teaches us that through these interactions, children learn to use the intellectual tools of their community, including literacy, number systems, and language. And as you think back about his theory tells us about the idea that children learn through their interaction with more experienced adults and peers who assist them in engaging and thinking that is beyond the zone in which they would be able to perform without assistance. So let's see this drawing right here. So first, we have the zone or the area in which children can accomplish tasks by themselves or alone. So that's the current development. The next area, that's where we see an adult there, peer who is more skilled, and that's a zone where children can accomplish tasks with the help of that skilled adult or peer. And then the third zone is the zone where children's that's their future development, or a zone that is beyond their current capacity. Remember back, what do you think is a problem with Vygotsky's theory and what it focuses on? The main problem is that it focuses on academics, which makes sense because Vygotsky was studying preschoolers in school and trying to figure out how they learn and what um, they need, or the help they need in order to increase their cognitive skills or capabilities. However, fortunately, Vygotsky's theory considers cultural influences. We can see, using Vygotsky's theory, how kids learn in these kinds of environment or situations, such as home and daily life. Then Barbara Rogov, the author of your textbook, she coined the term guided participation based on Vygotsky's theory of sociocultural development. And the definition is a variety of ways that children learn as they participate in are guided by the values and practices of their cultural communities. Because she wanted to learn how children learn in contexts outside of the classroom. What might be some of those values and practices that children learn through their cultural communities? So, in these illustrations, what are some things in each of these types of cultural values? So, collectivism and individualism. Guided participation in cultural activities encompasses not only socially desirable behaviors or learning, but also the avoiding of learning of behaviors that are not socially it includes efforts by social partners and by the children themselves, and you shape your community and culture by your involvement as you take new roles. So, for example, what are some things here in the United States that we try to keep kids from learning? So, for example, ideas about, violence, yeah, teaching children violence, or preventing them from going near the fire, or talking about in some families, or especially when the kids are younger, sexuality. And how do you think that may differ in other communities? In this next section, I discuss the two basic processes of guided participation that appear to be common worldwide, And the first involves children and their companions supporting their shared endeavors by attempting to bridge their different perspectives using culturally available tools such as words and gestures and referencing each other's actions and reactions. So, for example, social referencing is a type of or form of mutual bridging of meanings, and it refers to seeking information from the expression of others. And I posted various videos on Canvas which you can watch, and all of them are only about a minute, a little bit over or a little bit less, and they will really help you grasp or they will illustrate concepts such as social referencing and how it plays out in real life in children across the world. So, one of them, for example, is the baby laughing, and that video, you can see that when the parents start laughing, the children or the baby sees the expressions of um, her parents, and she also starts laughing uncontrollably because she is seeing that her parents are laughing. So that is a type of emotional communication. And also with the visual cliff experiment, the baby, what the experiment involves, there's a glass that it is put, as part of the cliff, but the child believes that, that there's a cliff and that they go there, they will actually fall. So when they see the parents telling them that it's okay, a lot of times they go ahead and they go through the glass part because they see their parents telling them that it is okay. The other the other type of guided participation is called mutual structuring of participation. This one involves or and shared endeavors or activities. So mutual structuring occurs in the choice of activities children have access to, as well as the interactions between children and their companions in the course of shared activities. Think about it, caregivers and community practices and institutions and children's own choices altogether determine the situations in which children are present and have opportunity to learn. So many times, parents often decide which activities to give or limit access to. So we can ask ourselves, are children segregated from mature activities? And we can think about perhaps different cultural practices across the world, which may be different for children in the US. So I posted a video on this concept of structuring opportunities of a child, which he's learning how to start a fire. And in the US, I don't think we would do that. Actually, almost unthinkable that a child of that age, because the child looks pretty young in the video, um, it's almost unthinkable that someone would teach a child how to start a fire. You think about yourself and growing up, what type of activities did your parents give you access to that helped you in your learning? So, for example, did they allow you to be there while they were baking and they allowed you to participate in that, or while they were cooking or doing the chores? And maybe they allowed you to wash some of the dishes. I also posted a video of the Athabascan community in which children are standing behind the adults and they're watching them dance and they're also dancing, so they're doing what their parents are doing. So this reminds me that, for example, when I got married, by the way, I got married in the US, but my husband and I are both from Mexico. So, in Mexican weddings, it is normal for children to be there during the dancing, and they can dance along with the adults. And I think some of my American friends were surprised by that because uh, you know, uh, because children were out late and they were allowed to be there with the adults and dancing. I don't think they necessarily saw a negative, but it was just different and it was surprising for them. I'm also going to share with you about some guided participation activities in different parts of the world. So, for example, in the US, it is common, specifically more for middle class European American parents, to involve children in literate forms, in a way of life in which school forms an important or integral part of the communication, recreation, and livelihood. Um, so, for example, I think it's very common for European American parents to read to their children and ask them questions similar to what they would be asked in school. So, for example, so what is this right here? And point to them, and ask questions, so the children may answer, or the parent may prompt the answer, such, is this a turtle, or is this a bunny? Questions like that. And this may not necessarily be common in other cultures. In other cultures, narratives or folk tales are very common, and they teach moral values or cultural values to their children through those narratives or stories. Also, practicing and playing with routines and rules, that's also common, I think, in many countries. And I also have a video up there that you can watch about how children role playing, that they're shopping at the store. Communities' children's learning involves intent participation in almost a full range of activities of their communities, with keen observation, initiative, and responsive assistance. So children are able to observe and listen on an ongoing process of life and death and work and play that are important in their community. So, for example, in observation and pitching in, there's also a video up on Canvas about observation and pitching in which children participate actually in the activities of the community. They help members of their community to do the work or tasks, and they actually do the work as part of the community, even though that they're children. And the other one is observation. So I gave the example of my wedding, in which children observe their parents, and that they're part of the activity, and they start dancing as well. Right. Well, thank you very much, and I hope we can continue the discussion and the discussion board, and then you can also put up your comments in the section of Canvas. Thank you.